Hi, Ramyaa. Let's take a look at your first set of essays as part of the course. Let's see what you wrote. Experts throughout the developed and developing countries debate that institutions have to be more entertaining. Some believe that the absolute purpose of it is to educate. Personally, I strongly disagree. This essay will analyze both views and use examples from WITS University and UNICEF to demonstrate points and prove arguments. All right, so I'm happy that you're using the template. That's good. Now let's talk about how you can improve this. So, first of all, um, you wrote the developed and developing, and then you decided to write countries. Now, the would have worked if you had used the word world. But when you use countries like this, you don't want the. So, experts throughout developed and developing countries. And then here, institutions does not automatically mean educational institutions. You have to tell us that. There are many kinds of institutions. So you need to be more specific here and say educational. So let's try it again. Experts throughout developed and developing countries have debated or are debating. I'm not sure, just debate is a little weird for me. Let me try it one more time. Experts throughout developed and developing countries are debating that educational institutions have to be more entertaining. All right, that still doesn't work because a debate implies that there's two sides of this. So it's not they debate that they have to be, but they debate whether they should be. Does that make sense? Because if you're debating something, you're debating whether something is this or this. You're not debating that it has to be. It doesn't quite work, okay? So let's try it one last time. Experts throughout developed and developing countries are debating whether educational institutions have to be more entertaining. There we go. Some believe that the absolute purpose of school, again, you have to say school here instead of it, because you haven't used the word before, used a lot of different nouns, and so it's impossible to know what this it refers to. Some believe that the absolute purpose of school is to educate. However, personally, I disagree. I took out strongly. You'll understand why in a minute. This essay will analyze both views and use examples, etc., etc. Now, the reason why I took out strongly is because let's look at the question again. Which do you agree with? That's the question. Some people think this, some people think. What do you agree with? You don't have to talk about both sides. They didn't ask you to. They just asked which one you agree with. You've already told us that you strongly disagree. Okay? That they just have to educate. So, since we now know that, it doesn't make sense for you to say that you're going to analyze both views. Okay? It might make sense, but more often than not, when IELTS candidates do this, it doesn't work. You could make this work. I strongly disagree, and then I'll analyze both views. If you support your side and then you completely decimate the other side, if you do that, then it's okay. But more often than not, IELTS students don't do that. Instead, they talk about why one side is good and they talk about the other side and why that's good. So you can't really do that in this essay. And again, let me explain to you why. Because they asked you, which do you agree with? And you've told us you strongly disagree with one side. So it doesn't make sense for you to then talk about both sides. Does that make sense? I really hope it does. All right. So, an examiner looking at this is going to be like, okay, well, I only want to know which side you agree with. You've told me that you think they should be entertaining. So why are you going to talk about both sides? It doesn't make sense. Okay. So why don't we take a look at the rest of the essay and see what you could have done to make this a little more cohesive? Because that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about cohesion. We're talking about the logical putting together of your ideas. Okay. So, firstly, I strongly believe that education centers should be more amusing as the younger generation nowadays is having difficulties in following the traditional methods of studying. This is because, no comma, this is because learning is a process which requires immense dedication and not reputation, that's the wrong word. Hence, if the experience is exciting, the learners will stay focused and will have the curiosity to return. All right, I'm kind of confused because you use that word reputation, and I feel like I'm missing an important piece of information here. Okay, so you got to be careful with this vocabulary. So you're saying that if it's exciting, they'll be focused and they'll want to come back. Okay. Moreover, this will have a positive influence on the way they look towards gaining knowledge and will be motivated to learn more. For example, in a recent study conducted by this university, you really need to capitalize, it's a title, so you need to capitalize that U. It showcased that there is an increase of 60% pass percentage. I want this to be an S here. There is an increase of 60% pass percentages, I think, in schools around South Africa, which uses more practical and engaging methods of education when compared to the others which use traditional methods. Therefore, institutions which deliver education in a fun-filled way are delivering promising results. Okay. I think on the whole, I'm okay with this. Obviously, there were a couple of areas that I thought needed a little work. Nothing, you know, majorly serious. So, fine. Okay. Let's keep going. Secondly, there are others who consider that school is a place whose exclusive purpose is to educate the youth of a nation. This is because, again, no comma here. It plays a key role in the country's economy and society by guiding the youngsters and helping them to prepare and qualify for the work in our society. Additionally, it also tutors them on the morals of our community. For instance, in third world countries such as Congo, Nigeria, and Zimbabwe, you could have put a comma here. UNICEF started an initiative of opening primary schools in 2010. In the last 10 years, hold on, full stop here. In the last 10 years, it is stated that the juvenile crime rate has come down by 20%. This is due to the knowledge the children are gaining from schools. Thus, it's possible to state beyond doubt that the sole purpose of an educational institution is to educate children. Okay, this was an interesting paragraph. Let's talk about it. So, you said it plays a key role in the economy and society. Fine. It helps him prepare for work for the society. I wanted you to say something about this. Okay. So, for example, you need to have a society of literate people in order to take jobs no matter what they are, whether it's, garbage collector or, cashier or scientist. You need them to have basic literacy and, numeracy or something like that. Okay. So I wanted you to add another sentence here. Now, here, I wasn't totally convinced about what you wrote. It felt kind of strange because what your example was great. I really liked it. You said that in these schools started by UNICEF, crime has come down. But I don't feel like you were saying what you think you said. So you're not really tutoring them on the morals of society necessarily. Because, okay, let me see if I can explain this. I think what the idea here should have been is additionally, schools which focus on providing knowledge to students have a positive side effect in that crime rates are lowered. Okay, and then you could say, For instance, in third world countries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And then you could say all of this. So, in other words, it's like a side effect. There's this positive correlation that when you have these schools here that provide education to kids who otherwise would not have it, crime rates in their areas go down. So I thought it was a great idea. I really did. You just needed to frame it a little better. Okay? Because again, if you're talking about educating, is that why the crime is going down? Because they're sitting there talking to them about morals like don't steal, don't kill, don't whatever? Probably not. There's probably other things happening here. Anyway, um, okay, we'll talk about this a little more. To conclusion, the examples and arguments given, I firmly agree that educational academies should follow an entertaining method, excuse me, of teaching. In the future, it is inevitable that globally almost all the schools will adapt to this model of learning and teaching. Fine. All right. So, excuse me. So what that brings us back to, gosh, my cough is starting again. Sorry. So what that brings us back to is this initial introduction, which I would like to rewrite. I don't feel like you strongly disagree. What I read in your essay was something really much more kind of tempered. You had a measured response to this. So I really don't feel like you were doing yourself a service here. So what I would like to see here, let's look at it again. Experts throughout developed and developing countries are debating whether institutions have to be more, educational institutions have to be more entertaining. Some believe that the absolute purpose of school is to educate, period. While there are times when straight academic education is necessary, on the whole, I believe schools should provide more entertainment to engage students more. So really, this is what you said, okay? Because in this sentence that I just wrote, you're taking into account this whole thing about how, you know, academic education has really helped some of these impoverished countries. Okay. But then you could then say this. So I would have reversed these paragraphs. Okay. This, I would put this first because this is what you really, really believe, but you're also allowing for this. You're saying, yeah, you know what? There is a time and a place where you need to just educate kids, math, reading, writing, whatever. Okay. So I would put this first, I would put this second, and I would rewrite this to show not that you strongly disagree, but that in fact you have a more measured response to this. Okay, that's my feedback on this. I see some really great things. Let's pull it together. Let's make it cohesive because that's what was missing for me. There was different elements that I kind of felt you just didn't know what to do with them. All right, let's take a look now at task 2. Okay, great. Enjoyable activities with kids. Let's see. Experts throughout. Here you did it good. Okay, here you did it fine. Okay. Experts throughout both developed and developing countries not would have debated. So let's try it one more time. Experts throughout, excuse me, both developed and developing countries have debated that children engaging in fun activities would be able to upskill them in different genres. This is awkward. Some believe that this can be achieved by reading books. However, put some contrast here. Personally, I strongly disagree. All right, it's not enough. Tell me that you think that other activities can help develop skills better. Add that in there. This is not just about reading. This is about skills. This is about activities that create skills. Okay, so just add a little more to this. This essay will discuss both views, etc., etc. Okay. What is this essay question asking you? To what extent do you agree or disagree? So again, I'm going to tell you exactly what I did with the other one. If you strongly disagree that reading books is the way, then why are you telling me that you're going to discuss both sides? It just doesn't make sense. I didn't ask you to. So, it then begs the question, why are you going to write a paragraph about something you strongly disagree with when all I really asked you was, to what extent do you agree? That makes sense. So I want you to be careful about this. Let's see how you developed it so that we could maybe play around with this introduction like we did in the other one. Let's see. Firstly, I strongly believe that parents spending constructive time with their children would encourage them to improve their personal and social skills. No comma after because. This is because while engaging in an activity which is both innovative and exciting, with a C, it would increase their level of imagination and curiosity. Okay, like what? Give me an example. What kind of activity? Moreover, they would be less distracted towards the latest technologies since they, no comma, they would be physically and mentally exhausted. For instance, in a recent survey conducted by this university, it showcased again capital U. It showcased that 40% of the younger generation who actively take part in curricular activities along with their elders excel in academics. Okay. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that doing an enjoyable activity with your child would help them improve better skills. All right, I'm a little confused. Let's try this one more time. You said they are less distracted towards technologies. So, what does that mean? They're less distracted by technologies, right? Okay. And then they're physically and mentally exhausted. Is that a good thing or a bad thing that they're mentally exhausted? 'Cause I'm confused by this. And then you're saying that they excel in academics. So I don't see how all of these ideas are linked. I don't understand the connection. So when you're writing a task two paragraph, you need to think of your ideas and your sentences as being links in a chain. Okay. And one link needs to be attached to the next in a very logical manner. Here, I'm not finding that. Here, what I'm seeing instead is like three separate links that have no connection to each other. So, this for me is a problem. Maybe, excuse me. Let's see what you said. I told you that I thought you needed an extra idea here. And then let's see here what happened. You said they would be less distracted by technology. I still don't know how to fix this. I really don't. You're trying to say that they excel in academics. So I'm so confused. Moreover, they would be less distracted by technologies since they would be. Yeah, I don't understand this. I'm not really sure. How about they'd be less distracted by latest technologies since they would be physically and mentally engaged in other activities? But then what's the skill? What's the skill they're gaining? Here you talked about personal and social skills. Okay. Here you talked about imagination, curiosity. You needed to develop this. I already told you that. So then physical and mentally engaged, I think would be better. How about this? Why don't we do this? Moreover, they would be less distracted by latest technologies since they would be more physically and mentally engaged in an activity, which leads to better academic output. Okay, then this sentence makes sense. So do you see what I've done? I've made those links kind of come together. All right. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that doing an enjoyable activity with their child would help them improve better skills. Now, here you have to be careful. Look what you said here. Doing an enjoyable activity with their child. So, who is improving their skills? Is it the kid or is it the parents? Here you confuse me. It sounds like you're talking about the parents, but you're not supposed to be. You're supposed to be talking about the children and what skills they're developing. So I'm really rather confused by this last sentence. Let's keep going. Secondly, there are others who consider that reading books, and now here this is not a firstly and a secondly. Since you're arguing two different sides, it shouldn't be firstly and secondly. It should be on the one hand and on the other hand to show this contrast, to show that you're now switching gears essentially and going to a different side of the argument. Let's try it. On the other hand, there are others who consider that reading books and comics would help a child unlock his her side no would unlock her imagination, creativity, innovation, and knowledge. This is largely because no comma they are excuse me, they are inspiring, interesting, and contain no s attractive drawings related to the stories, know them. In addition to this, reading also increases the concentration of a child, and they would also have the opportunity to learn new vocabulary, which strengthens their language skills. Okay. For example, an extensive study conducted by Oxford University, capital U, showed that over 90% of the children who excel in spelling bee competitions, S, are the ones who have the habit of reading. Thus, it is possible to state beyond doubt that children who read books regularly also have better skills. Okay. You didn't totally convince me here. You said they are inspiring and attractive drawings. Okay, well, great. I see an attractive drawing. How does that lead me to have more creativity and innovation? So you didn't totally convince me. I feel like you should have said something further about this. Again, this is because they are inspiring, interesting, contain attractive drawings, which then children try to emulate or copy and develop, their own artistic skills. All right, that I would have been okay with. Okay, and then the rest of it was fine. So let's keep going. From the arguments and examples given, I firmly believe that younger generations who are involved in entertainment activities that keep them engaged, outshine in both academics and social life. In the future, it is inevitable that parents would prefer to spend time with their children doing fun activities. Okay, that's nice. So again, you need to rephrase this. I mean, I'm okay with you talking about both sides of the argument. In fact, in my opinion, I think that makes for a stronger essay, a higher scoring essay, because you're showing nuances and you're showing that there's validity to both sides of a topic, but you have to do it the right way. And it starts with having an introduction that accurately reflects what you're writing in your body paragraphs. So some believe that this can be achieved by reading books, period, full stop, okay? While reading books is associated with numerous skills, on the whole, I believe that fun activities develop a wider variety of skills better. Okay? That's what you're saying in this essay. And again, I would have put this first, I would have put this second, and I would have had an on the one hand, on the other hand. Okay? So that's how I think you can really pull this together to make it strong. All right, that brings us to the end of this correction. It's a long one. Gosh, almost 24 minutes. Sorry. Let me know if you have any questions. Correct these. Start an error correction list. And let me see another set of essays from you. Okay? Thanks very much. Good luck.